Hello and welcome to the next video of Python Bytes series. In this video, we'll see what are classes in Python. Let us see some important points for class in Python. Class is a blueprint in object-oriented programming. They are defined to give certain characteristics to the object that we create from the class. A class is defined using the keyword class followed by the class name, where the class name is in camel case. That means the first alphabet of the class name is uppercase. If there are multiple words in class name, we use uppercase for every first letter of every word. There are certain terminologies that we should be aware in class. Attributes. They are nothing but variables, but they are tied to the object and the class. Methods. They are nothing but functions. They are tied to the object and the class. Let us now jump to the coding section to understand in detail about classes. Welcome to the coding section of Python Bytes. Now we'll see how to define classes and how to use them in our code. So let me tell you something. We have been using classes since the beginning. So there were some of the inbuilt classes of Python that we have been using till now. So let us define var string and let us give it a value ABC. Now if we print the type of var string, var string, and if we run it, you see that it's a class, it's an object of class string. So Python has some of the inbuilt classes in it. One of them is string. There are many other classes which we have used. So those classes are integer, float, string, list, dictionary, all the variable types and data types that we have seen and used were an object of a class of that type. So let us see one more example over here. If we declare a var list and declare a list of integer up to 3 and then we print type var list and let us run it, we get it. So var list is an object of class list. So these were some of the inbuilt classes of Python. But now let us see how we can start defining our own classes. So let me clear this and let us start defining a class. So to define a class, we use a keyword class and then the class name. So let us define a class name car and then we use a colon. And now we will define some methods and some attributes. So one of the method to initialize, whenever we are initializing a function, we can use a function called, so under double underscore in it, and then again double underscore. So this is a special function which will be initialized whenever we declare an object of car class. So now you see here there is a word called self. So if I remove this thing and we just put a bracket, the self will come on its own. I don't have to type it. So this self is basically a definition that, oh, it's a part of the class. So self, it's a part of a class. So you remember it can be anything, but for a very good practice, we every time use self, you can use any other word which you have to keep repeating. That word will signify it is a part of the class. And now we are going to give some initial attributes to it. So brand, then model, and fuel. So there are 3 attributes to a car. When a car is manufactured, there are 3 attributes given to it. Now we'll initialize this attribute. So now we see we are using the keyword self again over here. So self means it is tied. We are tying these things to the class. So self dot brand. So this is an attribute. This self dot brand is an attribute to the class, and we will give it a value brand. That is the argument that we gave while initializing. Similarly, we will use. Do not confuse this brand with self.brand. This is tied to the class car, while this is an argument when we initialize. So we are just defining the attributes now. So let us declare fuel, and that is equal to fuel. So now we have initialized a car class. So if you want, we can just create a car class. So car1. So if there was a car1, I'll declare it as car. And then we have to give 3 attributes to it. So first attribute is what? Brand. Let us say Tesla. Then let us say model 3. And then fuel is electric. Now let us declare another car, car2. And again declare it as an object of class car. So now let us declare it as brand Honda. Then model is Accord. And the fuel is gasoline. So now we have declared two cars. So car 1, car 2. So now if you want to print, if you want to print brand, you can't print only brand because you have to tell brand of which car. So we have to declare car 1 dot, so car 1 dot brand. So car 1 is an object, brand is an attribute. So now if you run this, we'll get output as Tesla. So when we declared car 1, we had declared the brand as Tesla. And you have to remember, this is the order in which the arguments will be taken. So the way we define, we have to define them in the same order without the key. But if you want to define the key also, you can use brand. Then you can define it as model, and then define it as fuel. Then the order doesn't matter. If you are using a keyword argument kind of thing, the order doesn't matter. So let us see an third example, car 3. And we define it as an object of again car. And over here we can define fuel first, and that is hybrid. Then we define model. It is, so let us define a model as CRV, and then brand as Honda. So here you see the order of the argument doesn't matter because we are defining it with the key. So now if we try to print the brand of car 3, we will get Honda. Now if you try to print the type of car 1 or 2 or 3, you will see that it will return class. So it's class of car. So this is main because it is running from the script. So that's why main.car. So but it is an object of type class car. So now we will define in the class itself, we'll define a method. So that is define add miles, because if you have a new car, so now you see again a self is printed over here. The first argument of any method in the class is self because we are tying it to the class. So now we'll define it as miles, and we will declare an attribute to that saying that miles. So let us make this miles. So now when the car is delivered and the customer is driving the car comes to the dealership, and now they have to add miles to it. So they can just say car add miles, and they say 100 miles. So this car came after 100 miles. And if the car 2 came add miles, if it came after 500 miles, and car 3 was registering 1000 miles. Now we see that initially when we initialized, there was only 3 attributes: brand, model, and fuel. Now we are adding another attribute to it, miles, because the car is out delivered to the customer, and now we will print car 1 dot miles, and if we run this, we'll get 100. Similarly, if we change to car 2 and run, we'll get 500, and if we make it 3, we'll get 1000. We can also add another function or another method to it. Let us add another method to it, like define next service. So and then we add a date to it. So and then we another attribute as date. Let us make it service date, and now we want to add a service date to it. So car 3, which has reached 1000 miles, we can add a next service date because it will do its first service, and then if we add a date to it, let us add it as a string for making it simple. So let us add a date called 03/03/2022. So 3rd of March 2022 is the date. Now if we see the attribute and we try to print when is the next service, print service date, and we run it, we get, so car has no attribute service date. So it says it has no attribute service date. Why it doesn't have? Because let's see over here. Oh, so we missed here. We didn't add next service. We used the service date, and now we will run. Now we'll see that the next service date is 03/03/22. So this is the way we can create a lot of objects with the same class. So car became an architecture, became an characteristic for cars, different cars that we can start defining. And then we could define multiple objects. So multiple cars with the attributes that we want, like brand, model, field, and we can start creating these kind of things. We can in the one of the example that we are going to see in future is how to build a calculator. In that we'll see a calculator class, how they have different methods like add, subtract, division, multiply, or maybe square root, square, lot of functions. So if someone is defining calculator 1, calculator 2, they will have all the attributes, all the functions, all the methods. So in class there are no functions, they are called method, and there are no variables, they are called attributes. Now we learned what are classes in Python and also saw some of its application. To continue this discussion, I've created a Discord server. Please find the link to the server in the description below. Leave comments in the comment section with your questions and feedback. Please like and subscribe to this video. Your like and subscription help me with reaching wider Python loving community. Goodbye till next time. Keep coding.